Hi, in this video, we're going to cover some different comfort strategies, how we can provide thermal comfort for the occupants of our building. And we'll start out with adaptive comfort for individual people and then move on to some whole building strategies. We'll finish up talking about a bioclimatic chart. Let's get started. So, the concept of adaptive comfort should come as no surprise that people can adapt to their environment in ways that make them personally more comfortable. And there's three categories of ways they can do this. The first one is behavioral. People can change their activities or their clothing. If they are too cold, they can maybe do a couple of jumping jacks and warm up, or they can put on a puffy coat. All right. People can move location. They can get out of the wind. They can go sit in the sun. And finally, they can operate the building around them. Maybe they shut the window or open the window or turn on the fan next to them. Right? Those are all behavioral adaptations of the environment. People can also have physiological adaptations, including sending more or less blood to their skin and evaporation of moisture on your skin, which is sweating. All right. These ones are involuntary. Obviously, the behavioral ones are voluntary. And finally, there are psychological adaptations that people can make, and these have to do with their expectations. We expect to be warm when we are sitting by the poolside in summer. We expect to be cold when we're outside, maybe doing some recreational activities in the winter. And that's okay with us, all right? And that is a psychological adaptation. Remember this chart from our last video? This is showing our human comfort zone of temperature and relative humidity and kind of the various areas where there's discomfort. And we can map on this chart some of the different adaptive strategies that people could use to move themselves into the comfort zone. So if someone is a little too cold, maybe a little too humid, they can go sit in the sun. If they're even colder than that, maybe they need to put on a coat. If someone is a little too warm and a little humid, maybe they might get up and sit in the shade or wear cooler clothing, or even more hot and humid, they might turn a fan on. All right. So the goals of all these adaptive strategies is to affect the environment around you or affect the personal environmental factors and pull your temperature and your humidity into the comfort zone. All right, so you're going to add some heat or take away some humidity or take away some temperature and pull yourself into that comfort zone. As architects, one of the things that we can do is allow our occupants these options. So a building can be designed to foster adaptive comforts by providing occupant control. So your occupants want to modify their immediate environment. And a couple of common ways to do that are to provide for natural ventilation, operable windows, all right, and maybe some sunshades. So those are all things that the occupants of your building can do to be more comfortable. But architects can also adapt their building design to its environment in ways to make their occupants more comfortable. And we're kind of moving into the content of chapter 5. All right, so this is a little sneak peek of next week. There are many, many design strategies in order to adapt your building. And here's one of them shown in chapter 10 of your building. We've got Frank Lloyd Wright's Robie House in Chicago. It's got walls of doors and windows that open for cross ventilation. It's got large roof overhangs to keep out the sun and rain. Let's take a look at that psychometric chart with the human comfort zone again. In this case, we're interested in things architects can do, strategies for their building in order to make the interior spaces of the building and pull them into the human comfort zone. So just like what individual people could do for adaptive comfort, we can do this for the building. So if you are cooler than the comfort zone in your building, you can add some sun. Even a little colder, you probably need to use mechanical heating. If you're a little warmer than your human comfort zone, there's a number of different strategies. Warm and humid, you could use evaporative cooling. Kind of warm and a wide range of humidity, you can use thermal mass. And warm and humid, you want to add ventilation. All right, a little bit of air motion, make your occupants more comfortable. And finally, there's a section up here where it is so hot and humid that we suggest you use some air conditioning. Now, there is a chart that shows all the different locations of these particular strategies, and it's called the bioclimactic chart. Let's take a look. And here's that chart from your textbook. It is figure 412 on page 76, so take a look. It's the same psychrometric chart that we've been looking at. So along the bottom, we have our temperature range in degrees Fahrenheit. We've got colder to the left, warmer to the right. And in the vertical direction, we have humidity, with relative humidity being shown by these curves. Here's 20%, 40%, 100%. All right, and we've mapped our human comfort zone in the center right here. And it is labeled the thermal comfort zone. And then these other areas that are being called out in this bioclimactic chart are ways to expand the comfort zone. So, for example, up here, if you have a climate of above 80 degrees in temperature and looks like we're right about 70% humidity, all right, your occupants can still be comfortable if you have added ventilation. All right, so that would be an appropriate strategy if your climate is in that zone. And that would really pull your occupants back into the comfort zone. All right. If you have a temperature of, say, 85 degrees and a relative humidity of less than 20 degrees, then your appropriate strategy might be evaporative cooling. So that's how you read this bioclimactic chart, and it is useful for pointing out to you as the architect which strategies might be appropriate. All right, everyone. In this video, we talked about all the different ways that people can help their own selves be comfortable and different ways that we as architects can help the occupants of our buildings be comfortable. And we learned how to map them onto the psychometric chart. Once you put all those different strategies on there, it has a different name. It's the bioclimactic chart. Thanks, everyone.